Imagine waking up 10 years from now and realizing that your life looks almost exactly the same as it does today. The same routines, the same frustrations, the same dreams you once felt excited about but never truly pursued. That realization would hit like a wave crashing against your chest. Because deep down, every human being knows they were meant for more. Not more money necessarily, not more status, but more growth, more purpose, more impact. Yet the harsh truth is that most people will live and die inside the same patterns, not because they're incapable, not because they lack intelligence or opportunity. They remain stuck because they are trapped by a belief system they never consciously chose. This is what I call the belief trap. The belief trap is invisible, but its power is enormous. It shapes how you see the world, how you see yourself, and ultimately what you believe is possible. Think about this for a moment. Every decision you make is filtered through your beliefs. If you believe you are capable, you take action. If you believe you are not ready, you hesitate. If you believe the world is full of opportunity, you search for doors. If you believe success is reserved for others, you stop knocking. Your beliefs are not just thoughts floating in your mind. They're the blueprint of your destiny. Let me ask you a powerful question. Who gave you the beliefs you live by today? Did you consciously sit down at age 10 and design the mental rules that would guide your life? Of course not. Most of the beliefs shaping your future were planted long before you even understood what belief meant. They were formed through experiences, through the words of parents, teachers, friends, and sometimes even strangers. A child tries something and fails, and someone says, maybe that is not your strength. If a teenager takes a risk and gets laughed at, and suddenly embarrassment becomes a permanent memory, a young adult dreams big and someone whispers, be realistic. Those moments seem small in isolation, but over time they become powerful psychological anchors. Psychologists have discovered something fascinating about the human mind. The brain is constantly searching for evidence that confirms what it already believes. This phenomenon is known as confirmation bias. Once a belief takes root, your mind begins filtering reality to prove that belief correct. If you believe you are unlucky, you will notice every setback and ignore every opportunity. If you believe you are capable of growth, you will see challenges as stepping stones rather than roadblocks. You will see challenges as stepping stones rather than roadblocks. Two people can live in the exact same environment, yet experience completely different realities, simply because of the beliefs they carry inside their minds. Now, here is the deeper truth. The belief trap is comfortable. It may limit you, but it is predictable. Human beings are wired to seek certainty, even when that certainty keeps them small. The unknown can feel terrifying. Growth demands uncertainty. It demands stepping into situations where you might fail, where you might be judged, where you might not look perfect in the eyes of others. And for many people, the fear of that discomfort becomes stronger than the desire for transformation. But let me tell you something that may change the way you look at fear forever. Fear is not the enemy of success. Fear is the signal that you are standing on the edge of expansion. Neuroscience shows that when you face something challenging, your brain releases adrenaline and dopamine, chemicals designed to sharpen focus and increase performance. In other words, your body prepares you to rise to the occasion. Yet most people misinterpret that surge of energy as a reason to retreat rather than advance. Consider a man who spent nearly 2 decades working in a job that drained his energy every single day. He woke up early, drove through traffic, sat in a cubicle, and returned home exhausted. Inside his heart, he carried a dream of building something meaningful, maybe a business or a project that would truly matter to him. But every time the thought appeared, another voice whispered louder, "You're not experienced enough. You might fail. What if people laugh at you?" So he postponed his dreams again and again. Years passed, and the pattern continued until one evening his young son asked him a question that cut deeper than any criticism he had ever faced. The boy asked Dad, "Why do you always look unhappy when you come home from work?" In that moment, something inside the man shifted. He realized that by tolerating a life he disliked, he was teaching his child a silent lesson about what adulthood should look like. That realization broke the illusion. Within a year, he began building his dream step by step. It was messy, uncertain, and far from perfect, but it was alive, and that single decision began a transformation that reshaped his entire future. What changed in that moment was not his skills or his resources. What changed was his belief about what he was willing to accept. When a human being raises their standards, their life begins to move in a new direction. Standards determine the line between what you tolerate and what you refuse to live with any longer. Research in human behavior consistently shows that people with a growth mindset achieve greater long-term success than those with a fixed mindset, a growth mindset. A growth mindset is the belief that abilities and intelligence can develop through effort and learning. When people adopt this belief, they become resilient in the face of obstacles. They view challenges as training rather than threats. They persist longer and adapt faster. Meanwhile, individuals who believe their abilities are fixed often avoid risks and give up quickly when difficulties arise. This explains why two people can face the same challenge and produce completely different outcomes. One person sees a closed door and concludes that success is not meant for them. Another person sees the same door, begins searching for the key. Same situation, different belief, completely different destiny. Think about the habits that shape your daily life. Studies suggest that nearly 40 to 50% of our actions are driven by habits rather than conscious decisions. That means much of your life is running on autopilot. The routines you repeat each day reinforce the beliefs you carry about yourself. If you believe you are disciplined, you build habits that confirm that identity. If you believe you are unlucky, you unconsciously focus on situations that support that belief. Imagine your beliefs functioning like a thermostat in your home. If the temperature rises too high, the system activates to bring it back down. If it drops too low, the heater turns on to raise it again. Your beliefs create a similar set point for your life. If success pushes you beyond the level you believe you deserve, your mind may subconsciously sabotage your progress. To return to that familiar level, this is why some people experience brief success only to lose it again. Their identity pulls them back to what feels normal. Breaking free from that cycle requires something powerful: awareness. The moment you become aware that your beliefs are shaping your outcomes, you gain the power to question them. And questioning a belief is the first step toward transforming it. Ask yourself this question: what belief has been quietly limiting my life for years? Perhaps you believe you are not smart enough, not confident enough, not creative enough. Maybe you believe you started too late or missed your chance. But where did that belief come from? Was it a single failure, a comment someone made long ago, an experience that felt painful at the time but no longer defines who you are today? The truth is, the human mind is incredibly adaptable. Neuroscientists call this neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections throughout life. This means the patterns of thinking that shaped your past can be reshaped to create a new future. Every breakthrough in history began with someone who refused to accept the beliefs of the majority. People who changed industries, built groundbreaking companies, or transformed communities were not immune to doubt. They simply chose not to let doubt become their identity. Think about individuals who were once told their ideas were unrealistic. Inventors whose designs were rejected dozens of times before they finally succeeded. Athletes who were once overlooked but continued to train relentlessly until their abilities could no longer be ignored. The difference between them and the people who quit was not the absence of failure, it was the presence of belief. Belief is the engine of human potential. When you truly believe something is possible, your brain begins searching for why, is to make it real. Opportunities appear where obstacles once stood. Solutions emerge where confusion once dominated. Energy rises where exhaustion once lived. But belief alone is not enough. Belief must be paired with action, massive action, because action transforms possibility into progress. Action creates evidence that strengthens your belief system. Imagine the version of yourself that exists 5 years from now if you commit fully to growth, a version of you that wakes up with purpose, takes risks without being paralyzed by fear, and approaches challenges with determination instead of doubt. That person is not a fantasy. That person is a potential waiting for your commitment. Right now, inside your mind, there may still be a quiet voice saying, "What if I fail? But let me offer you a different question. What if I fail? But let me offer you a different question. What if you succeed? What if the life you have been imagining is closer than you think, but requires one bold decision to begin?" History has shown again and again that human beings are capable of extraordinary transformation. The only real barrier is the belief that change is impossible. Once that illusion disappears, the path forward becomes visible. The difference between the 99% who remain stuck and the 1% who transform their lives is not talent, luck, or privilege. It is the courage to challenge the beliefs that once felt permanent. It is the willingness to create a new identity based on growth, resilience, and purpose. So today, I invite you to make a decision. Decide that the beliefs which once limited you no longer define who you are. Decide that your past mistakes are lessons rather than life sentences. Decide that your future deserves more than the patterns of your past. Stand up mentally and declare that you are no longer living inside the belief trap, that you are no longer living inside the belief trap, that you are willing to question the stories that once kept you small, that why. You are ready to build a life based on possibility rather than fear. Because the moment you change your belief about what is possible, your actions begin to change. Your energy begins to change. Your energy begins to change. Your environment begins to change. And slowly but powerfully, your entire life begins to move in a new direction. Remember this truth as you leave this moment. The greatest prison in the world is not made of steel bars or concrete walls. It is a mind convinced it cannot grow beyond its past. And the greatest freedom is the realization that your beliefs are not permanent structures. They are choices that can be rewritten. So step forward today with courage, challenge the limits you once accepted, take the action you once avoided, build the habits that reinforce the identity you truly want to live. And then you put the why. And as you move forward, remember that the power to change your life has always been within you. The moment you break free from the belief trap is the moment your real life begins.